This is the Ordinary Business Podcast for business owners who want honest conversations, a lean business, and an extraordinary life on their own terms. Jen, what is the funniest piece of B-roll that your son has captured of you?
So we had this idea that it would be really funny to have a long series of me on different floaties in the pool, so that every time we had a B-roll, it would be like a new character, almost like entering the scene.
Oh,
So we have so many bloopers of me trying to gracefully get onto the I don't know if you've ever tried to get onto a floaty,
it's more difficult than you would think. Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a
Yes.
different one every time, so it's a struggle every single time. So we've got lots of really fun bloopers of me just full on bailing into the pool off of floaties or trying to like move and then it not moving at all. Like there's some good stuff in there. So
Do you use the bloopers? That's
yeah,
the next question.
absolutely
Okay,
I
good.
do.
Okay, good. That's really funny. Okay, I'm gonna have to go look up those clips. Okay, so we are chatting today about how your family is kind of like in your business or kind of helps the business. So I'm excited to kind of chat about that. But before we get into it, can you introduce yourself and tell us about what you do?
Yeah, I'm Jen Green. I am a funnel strategist and copywriter. So I do my very best to help women double their revenue with funnels.
Okay, so your family is involved in the business. Can you walk us through like how it started? Was it intentional? Did it just kind of start happening and you're like, "Oh, okay, well, now you're part of this."
Like most origin stories, it started during COVID.
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
so I used to run a postpartum fitness business for 8 or 9 years. And with COVID, all fitness got shut down. I knew that with like postpartum businesses, there was a lifeline there. As my son got older, it just became a little bit harder to connect with the women in my classes, even though I loved them very much. So I went back to school and I got a degree in digital media marketing. And so during COVID, while other things were shut down, my husband was working an essential services job. So he was still going to work. He had to commute at least an hour every single day there and then back, and then was there for 8 hours or sometimes 12 hours with overtime. So as I was growing this marketing business and homeschooling my son because schools were closed and my husband was out of the house for at least 10 hours a day, my business started to boom. I don't know why or how. I'm very lucky and fortunate, touch wood. But it came to a breaking point where I was like, every time that I have to take my son to a soccer game, to school, like eventually things started to open back up. Anytime I have to take him to a friend's house, anytime I have to get him ready in the morning, get him ready at bedtime, and my husband wasn't there, I started to do the math and was like, hey, we're losing money as a family because my hourly was bigger than his.
Mhm.
And so I eventually sat him down and said, hey, here's the math. If I can give up this default parent role and you can become the default parent, I think as a family, we will make more money because I can have dedicated time and space and energy to put into this and grow it at the rate that I'm at, and then also double my rates eventually. And, but I think the first thing that needs to give is that you need to not be out of the house 10 hours a day, at least 5 days a week. So my husband quit his job, and that's kind of the origin story of how it started to become a whole family affair.
I mean, we always talk about like, look at your numbers and what are you charging and whatever. But I was just thinking as you were talking, like that's kind of how I look at like childcare or summer
Mhm.
camps and that kind of thing. Cause I'm like, and I know for some, the revenue versus the cost of childcare does not match. And it's like, no, it actually
Yep.
like, I, it doesn't make sense for me to like work. I would be losing money, whatever. But for me and my business, I'm like, no, the extra, $100 a week or whatever it is worth it because I can easily make that up. in my
Yep.
business. Like, I can pay myself an extra whatever I need a month to cover that. I can sell a few more of these things. I can get another client, and that's much easier, and like it just makes more sense that way. And
Like the math that we started to do too was like with him commuting to
mhm.
Toronto, an hour driving every day, how much gas money that was and insurance
Oh,
and
yeah.
wear and tear on the car. Like you said, aftercare for a kid who was going to school, how much we were paying and like eating out because if he wasn't home all day and I was working, that, most days I'd be like, oh, like let's just order in. So
Mhm.
it's all those like teeny little things that started to add up. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the financial math, and then there's the emotional math of, like, my husband looking up and being like, "I feel like I'm missing our son
Mm. Mhm.
growing up." He always makes a joke. He's like, "I don't wanna be the dad from Alf. I don't wanna be James Caan. Like, I
Yeah.
I wanna see my son grow up and be present in his life." And so, I mean, it helps that he didn't love his job, so it was easier for him to quit. Like, I'm not saying everybody quit your job, but, like, for our situation, my husband is amazing at the domestic stuff. He wants to be present and available, and we are so, so fortunate to be able to have that situation, which
Mhm.
I know is not possible for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I know that your son edits videos. It's something you and I talked about when you were
Yes.
coming on the show. And then you mentioned like your husband does a lot of like the domestic things. I know he also edits some of your writing. I'm curious kind of how, like, with them getting more involved, how has that actually changed your day to day? Like, are you able to work less? Are you just able to do more client work and not focus on like the extra, I don't know, like the marketing and that kind of thing? Or,
Yeah.
yeah, like talk us
I
through
mean,
that.
you know that running a business can be really lonely
Oh, yeah.
and and oftentimes family just doesn't get it. They can't get it. There's no way for them to know. And having my son and my husband participate in ways in which they contribute to the business allows me to not feel so alone. Like we're building a legacy, like we're building something together. And it gives them an insight into how much there is to do and how much work I do so that when I'm like, hey, dudes, I have to get this work done, like they just have a better understanding of that. So
Mm,
yes, it's like freed up my time, but it's also allowed them to emotionally invest in this thing that is ours, not just
hmm.
mine.
Yeah. And I think it's also really good for your son to kind of like see this as, because for
Yep.
me, I don't know about you, but for me growing up, like owning a business was not even on my radar. Like, was not a
No,
thing I thought I would ever do.
everyone in my family has a totally stereotypical job. They are
Mhm.
all baffled by what I do
Mhm.
and are still sometimes like, so you make money doing it? I'm like, yes, friends. But I get it. You have to be able to expand your brain to understand that. And I'm with you. I think there's something about entrepreneur kids that just
Mhm.
have an openness and a different kind of neural pathway in their brain opened where like you can just make money.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
said, where you're like, oh, aftercare costs this much. Okay, well, I just have to sell like two of these and then it'll be fine. Like you
Yeah.
have a different thought process about the world and about
Mhm.
money. And I want to instill that in my son.
Now I'm curious, do you, because there's been times that my husband has edited my like YouTube videos or things like
Mhm.
that. He hasn't done it in a long, long time, but he used to. And he always used to joke like, "Well, where's my money? Where's my paycheck?" And I was like, you're doing a good thing." I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
do you like pay your son and your husband?
I don't pay my husband. He's, he
He's
gets to
helping out.
benefit. Yeah, he gets to benefit from our bank account. But we've always pooled our money. Like I know some
Yeah,
people keep
same,
their money
same.
separate. Everything has always been ours. So,
Yeah.
we don't kind of look at it that way. But I do think it's really important to teach my son to get paid for the work that he does.
Mhm.
So I absolutely pay for him. He'll sometimes like edit Canva graphics for my socials because I'll have like templates. So he'll do that. Um, if your listeners want to go to my Instagram account, you'll see he created an entire animated ad for my business, all of his own volition. It's hilarious and amazing.
I've seen it. It's
Um,
amazing.
it's really it's really good. Like biasedly, it is quite good. It's very funny, and several people were like, can I get him to make me one of these? Because it's really funny. Anyways, so I paid him for that, even though it was
Nice.
his idea. So I just want him to always not be afraid to charge for the work that he does. And, it's not exorbitant amounts of money, but it's just setting up, again, those like neural pathways in his brain that when I
Mhm.
work for someone, I get paid.
Yes, which I think is really important. And yeah, my husband and I also have a joint account, and so I'm like, I mean, I can put more money in there, but like it's open to both of us. Like, do you want me to buy you like a gift card somewhere
Right. Yeah,
special or something?
exactly.
But yeah. So this all sounds great and fun, but has there been any challenges, disagreements, like any of that going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough with my son because I want to encourage him, but I have also had to say to him like, "Hey, this is my business and like it does have to be a certain way." So I know that you think it's funny to like insert a Minecraft meme in here, but doesn't entirely align with the audience. So having those like silly but kind of difficult conversations because I don't want to squash his creativity. I don't want to,
Mm,
but
yeah.
I also have to be like, "Hey, if you're at a job and the assignment is the following, there's
Mhm.
only a certain amount of kind of moving around that you can do within that scope." So I also try to teach the lesson a little bit.
Yeah. Which so it's almost like, do you ever have to be like, "No, I'm wearing, like, the boss hat right now. I'm not wearing my mom hat."
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
like with my husband, it was mostly teaching him to not be frustrated with AI when we've had to use AI because he's absolutely anti. My husband is an incredible writer. It's why I let him edit my writing a lot of the time because he's just it comes by honestly his dad was an author, his brother
Oh,
is a
nice.
creative writing teacher. He is an incredible writer and has won awards for plays that he's written. Like their family is incredibly talented and gifted in that way. But then I would have to be like, "Hey, this client actually wants us to use AI. There's like a thing that we have to do for specified like SEO blog posts or whatever." And he would fight with it and wrestle with it and be like, "I hate AI. I hate it." I'm like, "I know, I know, I know." Because his creative brain is like,
Mm,
I
mhm.
just so that's the only like kind of butt heads where I've had to be like, "I know that you're frustrated. We have to move on. Like we've
Yeah,
got to
like, we
go." you know?
just be frustrated and let's get the work done. We can vent about it
Yeah.
later.
Yeah,
I'm also
exactly.
curious, is it hard at all to, like, shut the brain off from business when your coworkers are also family? Like, how do you
Yeah,
handle
I mean,
that?
they don't have any set hours. Like
Right, right.
it's not like they're working for me on a regular basis. It's more often that like I just need support if I've got like a boom of work and I'll
Yeah.
ask them. So that helps. I don't have to like be regimented and be like, "Did you get your 5 hours in this week?" Um so that helps, but I think like any entrepreneur, it's really difficult for me to shut it off.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I wish I was better at it. I every year I make this pledge that I'm gonna be better at setting boundaries and not working at night and not every year I fail miserably. So
Mm. Yeah.
I am the culprit in the like not being able to shut it off.
Same, same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. If I'm breaking my own rules about, like, "Oh, I don't work past this hour," or whatever, it's rarely ever the client's fault. It's, like, me being like,
100%.
"I have this idea."
I'm sure as your kiddo gets older too, I wanna be at I mean, this is why I started a business. I want to be there for my kid. My
Yeah.
parents were not able to do that based on so many life circumstances, and I vowed that when I had a kid, I would be at every soccer game, and I would be at every school presentation, and every choir, and every show, and every so oftentimes that involves me going to school during the day, which means that then I have to put in those hours at night
Mhm.
after
Yes.
he goes to sleep, and that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. That is how I want to set up my life, but it
Mhm.
definitely is hard that, like, whiplash sometimes, you know?
Yes, it is. And that honestly is something I've had to kind of like start adjusting to personally is all because I've been very in the past, I've been very good about like, no, I do not work in the evenings. I have good boundaries. And I would talk about like, you need to have good boundaries and like
Yeah.
shut your laptop, let your brain rest. And like, I still advocate for that. But now I'm also like, well, my daughter had a doctor's appointment or I went to like gymnastics or,
Yeah.
like whatever it is. And sometimes I don't need to like make up that time. I'm like, oh, like, yeah, I got to a good enough point today, I'm good, but other times I'm like, I will just feel better if I just work for like
Yeah, if I just get it
half
done.
an hour, and for me, like you said, it's like worth that trade-off
Yeah,
to work a little bit in the evening, and I'd rather have to do that than like deal with a boss being like, "No,
please.
you cannot have another afternoon off."
Right. Or you've
Like,
gotta make it up when I say so, or you don't get paid for that time, or, I'm with you.
okay, so I know the other thing I wanted to talk about was a lot of solopreneurs feel like I'm doing everything myself. I need to do everything myself. Like it's my business and I know the best way to do everything. What has shifted for you since you've started like slowly, occasionally kind of offloading some things to your family? Ever wish you could skip the awkward networking and go straight to referral partnerships with people you trust? The Co-Promotion Club is a curated, comfortable space where online service providers do just that. Stop spending time in breakout rooms with strangers and find your people at thecopromotionclub.com. And hear Jana speak at the Ordinary Business Summit in April.
So, my entire business, coaches have convinced me that I need to hire someone. I need to hire someone, I
Mm-hmm.
need to hire someone. One of the major roadblocks that I have in my head is that no one will care as much as I do, and that's really
Mm.
difficult. And I know that that's like a repatterning for all the coaches who are gonna now DM me on Instagram. Don't. I've heard it. I get it.
I don't want to hear it.
I understand it's a me problem. I just want you to know that I know that it's a me problem. But that repatterning in your brain that you have to be like, 80% is good enough, all of that stuff. What helps having your family involved is that they do care as much as you do.
Mm.
This is I'm gonna get emotional. This is a legacy that I want to build and leave for my son. If he ever wants to do this one day, or and it's not just like leave the business to him, but like the fact that I have control over our family's ability to create money and create income and to build wealth and to build sustainability in our family, that I can control that no one can fire me. No one can, again, tell me that I'm not allowed to leave 10 minutes early. I think that raising my son and having my husband have even his mind blown because he had teachers for parents, that was like
Mm-hmm.
the most regimented, best job you could have. Having his mind blown about the potential of having a business, the two of them are as invested as I am. They understand that this is something that we're building together for our family, and how much, I mean, I haven't mentioned this yet, but we moved our entire lives to Mexico. We were able to just pick up and build a life somewhere that was just better for us and what we wanted, which was fresh air and the ocean and sunshine and just a freer life for our kid. Um, to be able to do that, they are just really invested in this as well, in a way that, like, if I hired someone who wasn't a part of my family, they wouldn't necessarily have that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, I totally get it. Because again, my husband, very little like involvement in the business,
Mhm.
but he is absolutely like a sounding board. I
Yeah.
call him my like board member, like,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
and he wants the absolute like best for me, for the business, like because he knows like I'm the breadwinner, and so he knows like one, I'm just passionate about this. We're both very passionate about our careers, but he's also like, I think you're amazing. And I like, he jokes every year when we're talking about New Year's goals, he's like, well, this will be the year that Just Creatives takes over the world. And I'm like, sure. Like, so he is very invested.
I know other entrepreneurs who do not have that,
Yeah.
who just
Yeah.
don't have their ride or die in their corner, and it's not even like they sabotage them, like, it's not even that insidious, it's just that the attitude is like, "Oh, isn't that cute
Mhm.
that my wife runs a business?"
Mhm.
And I think that, unfortunately, that hurts them in the long run in terms of, like, quote, unquote, "playing small," because that message is in their brain,
Yeah.
right? Um, so I don't know, it can't be overvalued how much it means to have a partner who
Yeah.
is truly on board,
Yeah. I mean,
you
if it
know?
were up to my husband, I would have billboards and I would have run 5 conferences by now. Like, if anybody's playing small, it's me because of myself. Like, if my
Yeah.
husband's like,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
could do that and you could do that. And it truly is like having that support system like makes such a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I wish everyone had it. Um, okay, so last question. 5 years from now, do you see your family still being involved, more involved, less involved? Or are you like, I don't know?
Yeah, I want them to do what makes them happy.
Mm,
So, like, my husband is always gonna be a part of this because he's a sounding board and he's my best friend, and so
yeah.
he whether he likes it or not, we're gonna be talking
Mhm.
about this 5 years from now. But his dream is to write, and I want that for him, and so, I don't anticipate him being super involved forever. My son, on the other hand, even if it's not with my business, I really do hope to instill in him this entrepreneurial
Mhm.
spirit. He will be, oh my God, I can't even talk about it, but he will be graduating high school in 5 to 6 years.
Oh my gosh.
I know, I don't look old enough to have a 12-year-old, but I do. So he'll be like 17. He'll be making some decisions about what he wants to do with the rest of his life. And so I do hope that 5 years from now, he's got that entrepreneurial brain, that he is helping me in whatever way feels good, but mostly that he spent the last 5 years just seeing what's possible for him,
Mhm.
especially as he's making decisions about whether he wants to go to university or not, what he wants to do with the rest of his life, which is absurd at that age, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, so 5 years from now, for my son, I hope so, and kind of for my husband, I hope not. I hope he's living his dreams and doing what he wants to do, you know?
I love it. Yes. Whatever makes them both happy. And for you,
Exactly.
it sounds like opposite, like one yes and one no.
Yeah,
But
I want my husband to pursue his writing dreams, and I want my son to have an entrepreneurial spirit, even if he decides to go to university and study engineering or whatever, that he could still take that spirit with him and,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing a little insight into your business and your family. I think this was really fun and just a unique way to look at just how we're incorporating families into our business and have that support. Where can we connect with you online and learn more about what you do?
Sure, you can go to my website, that's the best spot, which is thejengreen.com. Jen is spelled with 2 N's. Or you can check me out on Instagram, even though I massively fail at Instagram all the time, but Jen Green Marketing. So Jenn Green, like the color, marketing. And but you should go there anyways and check out my son's ad because I'm a
Yes.
super proud mama.
Yes, please do. Please go check it out. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.